Today we are going to talk about the RTX 2060. Now this is amongst the most popular GPUs out there because it is a successor to the GTX 1060, but it nearly did not sell as many units as that. The 16 series kind of stole the thunder from this, but the 2060 continues to be a really great card for gaming even to this date. I mean, I know the 4060 Ti and the 3060 Ti and the 3060 exists, but this thing with just 6 GB of memory is damn cheap these days. It continues to be a charmer at 1080p and probably amongst the best budget graphics cards that you can buy. Obviously, you might not be able to find one of these brand new on Newegg or Amazon, but there are plenty of these stuff on eBay, Craigslist, and stuff like that. I bought it from a seller on WhatsApp, and it was pretty clean, and the card actually impressed me with its performance. So in this video, we are going to test it in multiple video games. Obviously, I'm not going to go above 1080p. Does not make sense to play games at 1440p if you have a GPU like this. But if you want to stick to 1080p, this card can really impress. So let's get right into it. Alright, let's start with Plague Tale Requiem. Now this is a new game. It was released just a few months ago, and over here everything will be set to the highest in the game, and DLSS will be set to performance for the first run because I don't trust the 2060 to run this game pretty well. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere around 60 plus frames per second with DLSS set to performance. The picture quality really doesn't look all that good, but hey, you couldn't ask for anything better. Okay, so I'm just going to turn off DLSS pretty quick, just render the game at 1080p. Well, it's not all that bad. I mean, you're still getting somewhere in the upper 30s. I saw a 40 FPS right over there. It's pretty decent performance. I mean, really, I am impressed. Okay, so the next game in our list is Atomic Heart, and everything will again be set to the absolute maximum. No ray tracing for this run because hey, this is a new game and we are testing at 2060. I'll just turn off DLSS for the first run, and oh my goodness. I mean, it's still running somewhere like at 30 FPS. Yeah, it is 30 FPS. But the game looks really choppy. I mean, I don't know what's wrong. So probably I'll just go in and turn on DLSS. Okay, so DLSS is right over there. So I'm just going to turn it all the way up to performance. Yep. Alright, so the gain was really not that much. Like we were in like early 30s. Now it's like, okay, it's going up now. 50 FPS. And this is much better than what we were getting with like no DLSS. I mean, if you want to really play Atomic Heart, I think you will have to rely on DLSS. The 2060 is aging at this point. Okay, the next game is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. This is a new game, and I mean, you can already see that we are already overhitting the VRAM usage mark. Okay, so everything will be set to the absolute highest, no DLSS for the first run, and let's see how much you're getting. Alright, so that is not bad performance at all. We are getting like 50, 48, okay, 49. The performance is all over the place. I mean, look at the 0.1 and 1% low numbers. But if you want to play Call of Duty with a card like the 2060, I guess that is totally possible. Okay, so now let's try some competitive games. Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Now, this is an old game and we'll just rely on the highest settings in this title at 1080p, and let's see. That is not bad performance at all. We are getting somewhere around 380, 390 frames per second. I mean, if you really want to play Counter-Strike Global Offensive, the 2060 is more than good enough. This game literally runs on integrated GPUs these days. Okay, time for Cyberpunk. I'll just set the settings to Ray Tracing Ultra over here. I'll just turn off any form of upscaling just to see how much we're getting without any form of upscaling. And look at that, 20 frames per second. Okay, let me just turn on DLSS. I'll just set it to performance pretty quick, and let's run the benchmark once again. And wow, it's like over 2 times the frame rate. This is actually cool. I mean, we are getting 40 frames per second consistently. You really can play the game like this, but hey, the visuals don't really look all that good. You know what, let's try Ray Tracing Overdrive just for the sake of science, and look at that, 5 frames per second, 6. Okay, okay, this was fun, but don't try Ray Tracing Overdrive if you have a 2060. Alright, time for some F122, 1080p, no DLSS. The settings are set to the absolute maximum, and okay, we are getting somewhere around 45, 46 frames per second. That is not bad performance for a game like this. Okay, you can totally play F1 at 45, 46 frames per second. You really don't need anything more than that. Okay, let's just turn on DLSS just to check out the performance gains, and look at that. Your frame rate just doubled by a factor of 2, and we are not even in frame generation era yet. Time for Far Cry 6 next, and we are going to rely on the absolute high settings, no HD textures, and no ray tracing for the first run. And we're getting somewhere like around 80 frames per second. That is not bad. Actually, that is pretty good for a 2060.
Like, this is in the absolute highest settings. So Far Cry 6 is really well optimized, I'll have to say. And the 2060, well, again, it has impressed me. Okay, time for some Fortnite. Now this is like the polar opposite of Far Cry 6. We are just going to set the settings to the absolute maximum, no DLSS for the first run, and we're also leaving ray tracing turned on because hey, ray tracing is not way more demanding than nanite, which is like its opposite in this game. And how much are we getting? It's like around 24 FPS, 23, not even 30 FPS. This is really bad. Like, once upon a time, Fortnite used to be that game that used to run pretty well on pretty much any GPU. And look at it today. Like, the epic settings in this game are just really bad. Okay, so I'll just try DLSS performance. Obviously, you can just try and bring these settings down to high, but let's not do that. And we are getting somewhere like around, whoa, it's 43 frames over there. Not bad. It's like again twice the performance, which is pretty impressive. But hey, just don't use DLSS. If all you want is a few extra frames, just drop those settings to like high or something. The game will run much better that way. Okay, so time for some console ports. Returnal, to be specific, 1080p. I'll just set this game to the absolute maximum, which is the highest. Epic over here as well. And everything is set to the absolute maximum, no ray tracing for this first run, and let's see how the game performs. Okay, so we're getting 450 frames. That's pretty good for a game like Returnal. This most plays like a story based title. You don't really need 60, 70, 80 frames in this title at all, and 50 frames, pretty playable. Alright, so the next game up is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Like, this is an old game, one like from the era of the 2060, so we are really expecting that the card will impress me. Alright, so 1080p, no DLSS for the first run, and everything is set to the absolute maximum, no ray tracing for the first run, and let's go. Okay, so how much are we getting? It's like over 90 frames. Oh my goodness, I'm really impressed. Like, this is 1080p, no DLSS, and this is pretty impressive to be honest. Alright, so let's just turn on ray tracing, just to check out how the graphics card performs with it. And look at that, the frame rate just got halved. We are getting somewhere like around 90 frames, now it's like 49, 50. Like, the game is still playable at the higher settings with ray tracing, and definitely kudos for that. But it really goes to show that if you're playing some older games from like 4 to 5 years ago, the 2060 is like a beautiful card for all of that. Alright, the next game is The Witcher 3, and we are just going to use the Ultra preset for the first run. No DLSS, everything is set to the absolute maximum. Okay, so let's check out the performance now. How much are we getting? It's almost over 40 FPS. Now that is totally fine in a game like The Witcher 3. I mean, just look at how good this game looks. It's almost like the web series that we saw on Netflix a few years ago. Oh my goodness, it looks really cool. Okay, so let's just go all the way up to RT Ultra for the second run. Let's just check out how the next gen upgrade performs with the absolute maximum visual effects applied in this title. Okay, that is not bad. I mean, the numbers show this is rendering at 17 FPS, but it is way more smooth than other 17 FPS experiences I've had in the past. You know what, this actually is quite playable. I don't see any problems. Like, yeah, there is a bit of jaggedness in the overall animation smoothness and stuff, but you can easily play this game at 17 FPS if all you want is just the visual goodness of ray tracing. But believe me, you don't want to do that. Just don't do it. Play that without ray tracing if you want 30 plus FPS experiences.
So I mean, the 2060 still continues to be amongst the best GPUs, budget GPUs for 1080p gaming. You can get this thing for as low as $100, probably even less if you're getting a good deal. For that kind of money, you really cannot get anything better than this. Buy this graphics card for used. If you're getting this brand new for something like $300, avoid this thing. But if you're getting it for $100, $150, go for it. It's one of the best graphics cards with support for DLSS and probably even ray tracing at the price point. It is almost as good as the RTX 3050 in some cases. So hey, so yeah, a great buy even after all these years. So that's it for this video. If you want to check out the 3060 Ti, which is like a newer version of this thing, that video will be over here, and don't forget to like and subscribe.